And especially in society today, it's very easy to have a negative mindset. Society wants you to have a negative mindset.
Uh-huh.
All marketing is emotions. There's
Mm-hmm.
constant things coming at you from all throughout your phone, trying to trap you to sell you something. We are the most distracted and isolated we have ever been.
What's kind of the biggest lie that they've told themselves or is holding them back?
I'll be happy when I'm successful. And it's not per se a conscious thought. You know, sometimes it is. Sometimes you will consciously
Yeah.
think that. But everyone thinks they haven't met their potential. Everyone thinks they're behind and for where they should be. They're comparing themselves to other people that may be in different stages of their journey. And everyone has imposter syndrome. I just think imposter syndrome is such BS. Like,
Totally. Hey everybody, welcome back to Straight to the Point. I'm your co-host Tristan Guerrero with West Coast Property Bros. Today we have on Sarah Francis. Sarah, thanks for coming on the show and reaching out to me via DM on Instagram to set this up. We're in lovely La Jolla right here, overlooking the highway, and I'm glad to have you on. So, Sarah, how's it going?
yes, thank you for having me. Beautiful setting, San Diego. It doesn't get better than that.
Right? Yeah, I like to call it the best place on earth.
It probably is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get right into it. I like to talk a lot about habits, identity, mindset, especially, you know, with our generation or my generation and Gen Z and Millennials out there just having trouble just taking the right step into what they want to do. What's one habit you see people rely on that actually keeps them stuck, do you feel?
Okay. Well, first, I'll explain I'm a performance coach. And so I help people transform their habits and their identity.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll find a lot of unrealized potential there when you start digging into your habits. But to really transform your habits, you have to transform your identity first because that's who you are, right?
Right.
So, in regards to a habit, you said a habit that keeps them stuck?
Yeah,
Keeps them stuck?
that you've noticed.
I would say one of the most common habits that keep people stuck that they don't even realize is alcohol. And that's because alcohol basically has zero benefits. If anything, it's a net negative, I would say, because there's more negative effects. And it doesn't matter who you are. You can try to tell me like what one positive thing that comes from alcohol, and I'll tell you why it's a lie. I don't judge anyone, and most of my friends drink, and I don't have a problem with it. I don't really care what other people do.
Yeah.
But the things that we use alcohol. Okay, so when I started getting into my habits and really digging in, I realized you have to dig in and realize what your triggers are, why you do it, when you do it, really is the best practice to start breaking habits and starting habits.
Right.
And I realized that the triggers for my alcohol, like when I would want them, were when I needed calm or I felt stressed or I thought I deserved it after a long day at work.
Yeah.
But when I started to find calming mechanisms without alcohol, it was so much better for me and for my soul and just general happiness. And so a lot of people say, just have fun, we're just having fun. I just want to kick
Right.
back. I've had a long day. I deserve a beer. It's not a big deal. Like, okay, sure. But also, try to have fun or kick back and relax without it. And you'll see it's a game changer. And I've just found, when I stopped drinking, that a lot of people, their first instinct when they talk to me is, oh, well, I really have been wanting to cut back, or I don't even know why I drink in the first place. It's what a lot of clients say to me. And actually, a lot of my clients, they'll just stop drinking from the beginning and not intentionally. I don't force that, or I don't care what people do.
Yeah.
But we'll go through their habits and they're like, I don't even know why I do it. It's social, with business, and they overthink it. It's just a habit when you break it down, but we place it on a pedestal. Like, it's so ingrained in our society, right? That if I don't drink, I can't network, and I'm going to lose business, my clients, what are they going to say?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's really not that big of a deal.
That's interesting. Yeah. How long have you been sober for?
A little over a year.
Wow. Congrats. That's a big step, at least for a lot of people out there, for 90% of people that have a trouble breaking that habit, at least. Like for me, it's like, oh, I go out there just socially to do it. I don't always go to events to have a drink, But even with me, sometimes I feel like I struggle in that area of like, okay, how do I break apart from that habit? And how have you seen people like shift their mindset so that they are able to break a habit that doesn't serve them anymore?
Yeah. So I make things very easy, because we overthink everything. But really, if you
Totally.
break everything down to its molecular level, it's just a habit. So when they're going through the whole process, well, I can't quit. Well, I guess I could. They're kind of over
Yeah.
and like it's just a habit. If you don't want to do it, then don't do it. If you do want to do it, do it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Just don't do what you don't want to do because you
Right.
feel like you have to. So I think just even breaking it down to where it's not this big thing that you have to tackle and really just accepting that it's just a habit and you can have mocktails and there's a lot of benefits to not doing it. That in itself helps the mindset because mindset in general, if you can break things down to like the smallest habit or the smallest thing, that's what causes anxieties when you start thinking too much, right? But when you break it down to very small actionable items, like, okay, well, if I'm going to go here, I'll have a mocktail and I'll have replacements and I'll drink kombucha instead. And then after a month or two, you just kind of realize you don't need it anymore.
Interesting. So just break it down in easy, small steps that slowly get you out of it in a way.
Yeah, in fact, in Alcoholics Anonymous, they say just make it to the next day.
Oh,
So I don't know exactly the phrase that they use, but that's
like
essentially
make
what
it
they
to
say.
tomorrow.
Just make it this 24 hours.
Uh-huh.
That's all you have to do because if you start thinking too far ahead, then you start to overthink it.
Right. Yeah. You kind of speak to me a little bit about that because I'm a big, heavy overthinker. And sometimes I get super stressed and have this big anxiety about like certain things if I'm thinking about everything all at once. But I like how you said, let's break it down into small little steps or list out everything because it helps reorganize stuff in your mind. Now, for someone that is an overthinker, how do you help guide them through that journey in a way so that they're able to understand it a little better?
Overthinking in general,
Yeah,
or
like people that overthink the process of breaking that habit. How do you help guide them?
the habit for alcohol, or
Or just anything.
okay,
It doesn't matter.
just overthinking in general. I'll just
Uh-huh.
for overthinking in general, journaling is very helpful, or writing.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think of it as like a long division. If you have a very complex problem, you can't solve it in your head, right? You have to get it on paper and
Totally.
and you have to
Yeah.
write it out. And that's how big problems are, but we don't think to do that a lot of times. And so it's much harder to solve up here than it is if you can write it down. So journaling for anxiety, overthinking anything is always my first go-to. Put it on paper first and then come
Uh-huh.
back to me. Also, just breaking things down into lists and taking it 24 hours a day. If you're starting to feel anxious,
Mm.
a lot of times we live too much in the past and too much in the future. But the only reason we're here is to be in the present.
Right.
So if we're worried about all of these things that are giving us anxiety, then we get overwhelmed and then we get analysis paralysis,
Right.
and then then our present is horrible.
Yeah.
It's like we're missing the whole point of life, which is just to enjoy the present moment.
Right.
So just think about getting through the day.
I like that. Now, how do you? I think I already answered asked this question, but how do you help someone shift their identity instead of forcing them into a new habit?
Yeah. So a lot of people try to change what they do. And your habits are what you do every day, so it makes you who
Uh-huh.
you are, right? But instead of just trying to change what you do or wake up earlier, change who you are. So
Mm.
when I started getting into habits, I was not a morning person at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was the opposite. I would snooze for hours, and I'd set like
Yeah.
10 alarms. I mean, my friends hated me, but instead of saying like I'm going to start waking up earlier, I would say I'm a morning person. Affirmations, I'm a morning person. It was a constant
Oh.
reminder that that's the person who I am, and remembering why I love my mornings. Because I don't care who you are, if you do a day of, or a month, like 30 days of early mornings, no one is going to be like, I hated it. Everyone's like, oh, I loved it. It was so productive, but I didn't keep up with it.
Yeah.
So that applies to any habit. Through my work, what I do is focus on the identity first, because it's so much easier to start habits or break habits when that's a part of your identity, but B, to keep them, right? It's like a New Year's resolution. A New Year's
Mm.
resolution is like explains identity so much. How many people do you know that have said like new year, new me, and then actually turned into a different person?
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym, and then they're there for maybe 2 weeks, and then that's it.
Yeah, literally, that's so like I don't even know why people do New Year's resolutions anymore. It's such BS
All
to me.
right.
But if instead of saying like I'm going to go to the gym, be like I am a fit person, and that's who I'm going to identify as, then it's a
Interesting.
totally different way to attack them. But if you're just trying to change one thing that you do, or like this is my New Year's resolution, I'm going to do this for 30 days, like okay,
Uh-huh.
you're not applying it to who you are. So there's a lot of different ways you can do that. Affirmations, visualizations, or we do a lot of identity work. And a lot of times I'll find that you have so much power and potential already inside you. It's not about doing more, it's really about doing less and like
Hmm.
uncovering that identity,
Yeah.
right? So like through this whole when
Like,
I went through my
like,
whole
what do you mean
process,
by doing less in the process?
yeah. So when I went down my habit rabbit hole and when I
Uh,
really got into everything, I didn't per se, I mean, I did start a lot of new habits, but I think the most essential things were like breaking identities that didn't belong to me anymore, that I'd
hmm.
adopted from society, from, drinking. And so I used to vape and smoking and partying. I loved partying. And a lot of things that I guess I didn't necessarily do because I loved it. Like I didn't realize that I wasn't feeling fulfilled from it anymore.
Hmm.
And all along, I was actually like this very disciplined, like structured, quiet person. And I used to love being out all the time. Like I'd always be out. I hated being alone, but now I really, really love my alone time.
Yeah.
So it was more like stripping things and like settling down than it was doing more. It's about doing less, I think, finding your identity.
Interesting.
And we adopt our identities when we're so young, right? Like your parents tell you what you should do, what you shouldn't do, who you
Right.
should be, what jobs you should have. Like we're controlled from our friends, Like if you do something
Yeah.
that maybe you enjoy, but your friends think it's stupid when you're young in middle school, like you're never going to do that thing again after they make
Right.
fun of you. And so that's basically our whole life until you get to a certain age where I think you kind of like I don't really want to do any of these things, and you
Right.
know.
No, totally.
So that's a long answer too.
No, no, totally. Like sometimes doing like what you said, less is more. And I feel like I'm just kind of starting to listen to people say that, like doing kind of the most simple task can mean a lot to someone or even you yourself. So I'm like slowly grasping that from people and trying to implement that to see how I could be more efficient too with your day or with your life or even talking with people. Um,
Yeah. How are you applying that to your day to be more efficient, more productive? You said.
yeah, I feel like I've struggled with this a lot, even like since I started my own business with my business partner. How do we delegate our time and time more efficiently, or even delegate tasks to other people so that we are spending more time doing what we need to do to run the business or be able to host podcasts like this? And so we've kind of ran through different hurdles or had to pivot a little bit so that we could delegate different work and still have our lifestyle that we have, But it's been a challenge. I'm not going to say it's easy, but
Yeah,
um,
it's difficult, and I think one thing that everyone should do is an energy audit of like what drains
mm,
you and what fuels you. Because when you start breaking down your day and you start seeing how much time you spend on things that drain you,
right,
or there's a lot of everyone's good at something, and everyone's good at different parts of the business.
right,
And so the majority of the time you should be doing things that you're good at because it's going to benefit the team most, and it's not going to
yeah,
drain you. So it's better for everyone, and
right,
everyone plays their part. But I think sometimes we just get caught doing everything, or we have control issues of handing things off. And I've found that if you're constantly doing things that are draining you, you're going to burn out. You're going to be less happy, and it starts to come out into all areas of your life.
yeah, totally. Now I'm going to shift gears a little bit. I saw that you run your own coaching program, and then based off our discussions, you also are in commercial real estate, which is great because I don't see a lot of women in real estate like taking action like that, which I applaud you for. But in your coaching program that you have, I don't know if the clients that you've been helping, of the high performers that you've been helping, what are kind of what's kind of the biggest lie that they've told themselves or is holding them back?
The biggest lie
Yeah,
that high
that you
performers
feel.
tell themselves that's holding them back.
Yeah.
That I'll be happy when I'm successful. And it's not per se a conscious thought. You know, sometimes it is. Sometimes you will consciously
Yeah.
think that. But everyone thinks they haven't met their potential. Everyone thinks they're behind and for where they should be. They're comparing themselves to other people that may be in different stages of their journey, and you know, instead of like where they were at the same time. Like you can't compare yourself to Elon when he was right now, right? You have to compare yourself to when
Totally.
you were Elon's that age. And no one should compare themselves to Elon anyways, but you know what I'm
He's
saying?
a different guy.
So unconsciously, and when I talk to high performers, when I'm talking to men, when like my clients are, you know, everyone has the same thoughts. Like, I just feel like I haven't met my potential, or, you know, I'll be happy when my business gets to here. And everyone has imposter syndrome. I just think imposter syndrome is such BS. Like,
Totally.
imposter syndrome is good. Like, you should feel uncomfortable where you're at because that means you're always pushing boundaries. And if you feel comfortable where you're at, you should be upgrading and get into a room where you feel uncomfortable, right?
Right.
So I think a lot of times high performers will get so stuck on not being where they think they should be, or not being perfect, or not having the business that they should, that they start to self-sabotage. And they claim the identity of not being enough.
Yeah.
And that comes out in a lot of ugly forms, and, you know, maybe over drinking, stress, burnout, pushing yourself too hard. Like, you're always talking negatively to yourself. And that's where unhappiness comes from. And you start to feel unfulfilled instead
Totally.
of being like, you know, it's backwards, right? Because success should be happiness. Like, when you reach a success, it should be like, I am so fulfilled right now. That to me is success, right?
Totally.
It's not like, when I have this business, then I'll be happy. And so instead of just trying to search for money or trying to make money, why don't you try to find something that fulfills you and then try to make money from that?
Right. I like that. I like the point you made about living in the presence too. I think there was a quote from Jay Shetty where he said, "We're not living in the past or the future. We're living in the present, like right now," which I really like. So I have to bring that up.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's so true. And I forget it. Like, everyone, we all forget it, right?
Right.
That's why there's a lot of like habits and practices that I do to bring myself back to the moment. Like, even before work, I'll do like a little focus meditation, one that I recorded myself. And it's such a game changer because I'll be all, you know, before I start working, like, I have to do this, this, and this. And it's, you know, my meditation is like, focus. You're here now. Imagine your mind is a whiteboard, and erase it. And then just put focus on it, and I get so much clarity. Otherwise, I tend to get a lot of monkey brain.
Yeah.
You know, my thoughts are all over the place. So just be present and do what you can at the moment.
Right. Now I see you post a lot about like your morning routine on your story and the stuff you post on Instagram and social media. Kind of give us like a daily or a day in the life of like your morning to get you set for your day.
Yeah.
Let's break that down.
Okay. Yeah. I obviously, for my social media, I love morning routines, and I think they're so essential. And it's called priming. Tony Robbins called it priming a lot, because most people are waking up when I've already got like 4 hours into priming myself for the day. Like, you know.
Right.
So I start at 4, and I do some light stretching, drink water with electrolytes, just kind of get my mind. Sometimes I'll do an audiobook, like a calming audiobook.
Yeah.
And then I'll get my journal out, and I do my affirmations and my gratefulness list, because gratitude is so essential. I mean, it's the basis of everything. Gratitude is so overrated, and we can all say that we're grateful, right? We're all grateful, but we all need reminders. I am so happy and fulfilled, but I constantly need reminders like, wait, no, I'm grateful. You know, what am I complaining about? So I remind myself every morning of what I'm grateful for, and I do my mantra, and then I do a short visualization of the day, the week, and into the future. Then I dance.
Oh, I love that.
Dance. I love it. Today I danced a lot. I had like 3 different dance breaks today. I was really feeling it. I don't know.
And you kind of have to with, especially if your mind starts to, like what you say, like be like monkey business in your
Yeah.
head. You kind of have to take a break and move around.
Yeah, totally. I love it. I originally started doing it because I was not a morning person, and so starting to wake up at 4 in the morning was very, very difficult, and it's still difficult for me.
Yeah.
So it originally was like to get an energy jolt, but then it became my favorite part of the morning because I just like, it's so freeing. So yeah, then I work for a little bit, and I'll work for like 3 hours. I do a morning walk and Pilates. So days structured a little bit differently than like the 8 to 5.
Yeah,
That
eight,
way.
9 to 5. Yeah, yeah.
And
Oh,
everyone should
interesting.
structure their days, not by the traditional business hours, but where you get your most energy, right? So
That too.
like when your brain is working the best, typically most people know, like mine is
Right.
in the mornings and the early afternoons. So I'll do my workout at lunches. Some people prefer the mornings. For me, it's like a great jolt, and then I can work really well in the early afternoon.
Totally. I know a lot of people talk about consistency when it comes to doing something hard in the morning in terms of exercise. But I feel like not everyone can adjust to that. Like wake up as early as 4 a.m. to do their exercise. Like sometimes I can, but sometimes I can't on some days. Maybe depending on the schedule. I don't know. And sometimes I even push into the evening. What are kind of your opinions on that, depending on how your schedule is?
For working out or doing hard things?
Yeah, just doing like a hard thing to get your mind right.
Oh, sure. Yeah. You mean because how people say do the hard thing first thing in the morning?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like that everyone preaches that. But then what about the night owls that like to work at night kind of thing? Hopefully that made sense.
Yeah, no, it does. I think you can classify anything as, doing the hard things. Like for me, waking up at 4 is extremely hard. It's by far the hardest thing I do all day.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Like I don't like it. I always want to push snooze. I mean, I've got like 36 years of training, like,
Yeah.
from living that way prior. So I'm still honestly getting used to it, and it's very difficult for me. You can work out in the morning. I mean, I think you just do whatever you want, really. Like, whatever is best for you.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's different. You don't have to apply everything. Like, take bits and pieces from people's lessons or tips for success.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't want to work out in the morning, like I personally don't, I don't feel the need to. If you want to, get in a cold shower, right? Like right when you wake up.
Right.
That's not fun. Tony
Yeah.
Robbins does that too, and he's like, I hate it every
Right.
time I get in
Yeah.
the shower. It's more just a concept of doing hard things, and that could even be work that you're procrastinating. You could do the hardest piece of work that you find most difficult first thing in the morning. Apply your own logic or to the concepts and make it your own, because everyone's not going to be the same.
Totally. I like that. I like how we covered on the habits and mindset of things on your coaching program. Now I kind of want to shift gears into the commercial real estate mindset of things and your personal journey too. Now, since you went into real estate and coaching, what was the moment you realized success on the outside wasn't enough?
When was the moment I realized that success on the outside was not enough?
Yeah.
Well, I would say when I really went down the habits rabbit hole and started looking at what I'm actually doing every day, I realized there was a lot of habits that I was doing that were keeping me stuck in the same cycles. Drinking and then being hungover and then being like, why did I drink so much? Or
Yeah.
I used to smoke too, and I didn't like to, but I just did it. And so when you do, I mentioned this earlier, but when you start getting into habit work, you have to see why you're doing things and kind of like dig in to the reasoning behind that. And so I got really deep and started doing all of this inner work, because you also have to acknowledge when you started, where you learned those habits, why they're not fitting for you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Reframing is very important too, like reframing the past. A lot of people will get stuck in the past, like, oh, I wasted time. But no, it just, you had a...
Yeah, it happened.
It happened. It didn't matter. You learned from it. That was who you were, and this is who you are now. So doing that work, just really digging in, I think was where I realized that I was not living up to my full potential at all. And I was just in all of these cycles. And I realized I was not as fulfilled as I thought I was. You
Mm,
know, you might feel happy right now, but you might not know what true happiness feels like.
yeah,
Because I actually really loved my life, and I thought I had it made. I'm like, I'm partying, I'm traveling. You know, my dad's always calling me like, "Oh my God, you're partying again, you're crazy." And I had the time of my life. But then I didn't realize what I could also do not partying and like how much potential I had there. And so that,
right.
then I feel like I'm living my second life now.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
So, yeah, it's been really great.
Did you ever do you have like a mentor or coach that helps you get out of that? In a, or maybe you started using recently or you've been using for a while that helped guide you on a path of breaking those habits and starting new ones?
So, I would say my case was a little bit rare
Uh-huh.
because I changed who I was very fast. Like I
Mm.
changed within 30 days.
Oh
I
wow.
stopped drinking, I stopped smoking, I stopped watching TV, started waking up at 4 in the morning, inserted all these mindfulness practices that I'd never done before, visualization,
Uh-huh.
affirmations. Like I was so obsessed with habits, and I
Interesting.
did it very quickly. And that changed who I was very quickly. Like I changed identities faster than anyone.
Yeah.
I went
You
from a
just went
very
like cold
extreme,
turkey.
yeah, it was a very extreme change. Through that process, I learned a lot about myself, and I also learned a lot about other people in
Mm.
the environment that you put yourself in. And people don't like change, right?
Yeah.
So it was actually very difficult. Almost nobody agreed with what I was doing or encouraged me. They're like, "You're gonna get out of commercial real estate. What are you talking about?" My family had issues. My friends were, you're not drinking. What are you talking about? Like, who
Yeah.
are you? Like that's what we do. So it was a problem for a lot of people. Of course, there was a lot of good friends who I love. Like I'll always love because they were there and they were pushing for me. They're like, "You're happy. Do follow it." But for the most part, I'd say there was a lot more criticism. And through that process, I learned that I am the only one that knows what's right for me
Amen.
so strongly that I've never experienced that before, ever. So now I don't listen to anybody unless they're where I want to be. So I didn't quite per se have anyone guiding me. It was actually quite the opposite. I would say I learned to guide myself and like start listening to my intuition because old Sarah, I don't know why I kept pushing through and I was like, no, you're all wrong. It would have been very easy to stop and be like, are these people right? Am I making a huge mistake?
Right.
So I think you really have to listen to yourself. There's a lot of people out there that don't even realize that the people in their environment might be keeping them stuck. And I think no one knows what's right for you except for you.
Mhm.
And you have to take ownership over your life and realize that you're the only one that's going to get you out. Because people can tell you what to do, but they're not going to do it for you. You know?
Totally.
So you're in charge of everything, your life, your happiness. If you're not happy where you're at, we'll change it. I'm going to go on a tangent there,
No,
so I'm
you're
just
good.
going
You're
to
good.
stop.
I like how you bring up the people that you're surrounded with, your friends, your close family, because sometimes even the closest people around you hold you back from your true potential. And even in like business too, like I even like my journey to move down here from the Bay Area, like everyone thought I was crazy, like what the hell are you doing? But I wanted to move to the best place on earth. But so how were you able to, change who you are as a person and find out who you want to keep in your inner circle, because really who's around you is who you become and who you are. How were you able to identify like who should I keep with me, who should I let go because they aren't influencing me the same way, and who I want to become? I feel like that's a big thing.
It is. It is. Environment is so much more important, and I don't think it's talked about enough because your environment decides who you are.
Hmm.
If you want to stop smoking, stop hanging out with smokers. Because I guarantee, if you start hanging out with 10 people that don't smoke, and that's all you hang out with, you're gonna feel uncomfortable, like pulling out a vape or a cigarette or whatever. You're just
Right.
not gonna do it. So your environment dictates what you do, and what you do becomes who you are. For me, it was very. I was so clear on who I wanted to be and things I wanted in my life, that when I went through the process, I knew exactly who I wanted to keep, or like who made me feel drained and who made me feel whole. And then I got very intentional about putting myself into new environments that are doing what I'm doing, that are motivated, that are health conscious, that will be a good influence on me, and that I can be a good influence on them. So I think you really need to analyze who's around you. You might not necessarily need to, that will be a good influence on me, and that I can be a good influence on them. So I think you really need to analyze who's around you. You might not necessarily need to, cut them out of your life, or maybe you even, maybe you have them come with you if it's someone that's important to you, But I don't think anyone should ever feel bad about removing someone from their life that's really draining, or that wasn't there to support them when they needed them.
No, totally. It makes me think, going back to your point about just cold turkey changing everything in 30 days. What was the process like going into that initially? Because I know a lot of people have a hard time trying to make a significant change like that. But for you to do it in a short amount of time is significant, which is crazy. Like I give you a lot of praise for doing that, because not a lot of people can just go like that in 30 days. What was going through your mind, and kind of talk through like maybe the challenges or struggles that got you in before taking that leap?
Challenges or struggles before I got into
Yeah, like what was going through your mind before going through the first 30 days to change yourself?
Well, it all started with positive psychology. I prepped my mind. I had been reading a couple of books and, taking in better content about bettering myself. And so I was really in a good mindset, and that prepped me. And this is what I, teach in my coaching as well.
Right.
It starts with gratitude. So what I did was started becoming so happy, like where I was at, even though I wasn't necessarily, doing what I wanted to do, and I had a lot of goals. I didn't even change anything except for my mindset, because perception is so important. Like, it's not about what you see, it's about how you're seeing it, right? Because we're both living in the same world right now.
Right.
But you might see something that triggers you, or you might have had a bad morning and you're not seeing it the way I am. This as an example, like I prime myself, I'm dancing all morning, like something bad happens to me, I'm like, I don't care, I'm happy. It's really hard to upset me.
Yeah.
So it's all about your perception, right? And so if I prime myself every day, all of those bad, micro bad things that happen to me, challenges, whatever, I'm kind of like, it's not gonna kill me. I'm happy, I'm grateful. So I think that's really essential, like becoming unconsciously ungrateful, and really like understanding that the problems in our life are not problems. And if you look at them instead as learning opportunities, then your perception of what's happening automatically changes, right? And so that's where I was at the stage when I was like, you know what? I'm in such a good mood, and I'm like, I just want to be my best human possible, right?
Yeah.
I want to, like, personal development is all about like becoming your highest self. I'm like, I really want to dig in,
Yeah.
And then I started getting into the habits, and I read Atomic Habits, and I put everything out there. I was consuming a lot of habit work in psychology, neuroscience, like everything. I just got completely obsessed. So that was helpful. I think it's much easier to better yourself when you're in a positive state of mind. Yeah.
Totally. Now, are most of your clients that come in and want to start your coaching program, are they coming in with a full positive mindset already? Or
I think,
would you say?
I think many people are happy or positive, but you can always be more positive. I guess I'm trying to answer that, because I don't want to say, I don't want it to sound like my clients come in so unhappy, right? But we all face challenges, and the reason why people want my coaching is like, oh, I want to feel a little bit better. Like I know I have some habits that are keeping me down or whatever. And especially in society today, it's very easy to have a negative mindset. In fact,
Right.
society wants you to have a negative mindset. Like, the news only makes money if they get ratings. How do they get ratings? By triggering you, right? Emotions. So all marketing is emotions. And there's constant things coming at you from all direct, your phone, everywhere, trying to trap you to sell you something or, tell you a story for why you're not good enough. Get some Botox. Like you scroll through Instagram, it's all things that you should buy because you're not good enough or you don't have enough things. We're constantly being spammed with this stuff. So I think it is difficult today for people to stay consistent with positive mindsets if they're not actively focused on it all the time through their daily habits. And it's kind of, if you break it down, essentially like what my work is, it's daily reminders and systems of structure that remind you why to be grateful, disciplined, positive, fulfilled, work hard, like how, reminders of why your morning routine is so beneficial to you, So it's a long answer again.
No, totally. No, I like it. I like the more in-depth responses because people need to hear it. Like watching the episode, like maybe how do I get better? Like it comes with the right mindset, right habits, and I feel like to be able to do that, you got to become a different person. And sometimes people need to hear the hard truths to be able to make that change in life. And kind of going off that, I'll spin this off on that. What did hitting your breaking point teach you that a classroom would never teach?
Hitting my breaking point, what did it teach me that a classroom would never teach me? I would say I never quite hit a breaking point. And I kind of actually we went over this a little bit earlier, but I thought I was so happy and I thought that I was doing so much better than everyone else because I liked my life. But I didn't realize how comfortable I was being uncomfortable. And I think that goes for a lot of people. I think people don't realize like how much more happiness you can obtain by doing other things or how much more potential you can have. Like, just for instance, mindfulness practices are still not very common. Like, I think a lot of people are doing mindfulness practice because I surround myself with that every day, but I find that most people aren't doing affirmations, visualization, meditation, any of the practices that really to me have like made me whole. And I've gotten a lot of potential from all of them. I mean, like affirmations alone, that's such a core identity work. For me, if I am working on something, I can make an affirmation for it and it will come true within a couple of weeks. So, whether it's like, I was talking about this earlier too, but a lot of people have the power inside themselves. Maybe they think they don't have confidence. Like, I'm not a confident person, but they do have confidence. You just have to know that, my clients will be like, I don't have this. I'm like, why do you say that? What makes you think that?
Yeah.
Like, well, I guess because we're all our harshest critic, right?
That's true. Yeah.
So just putting it on paper or even like saying it, like I'm a disciplined person or I wake up with intention and structure. It sounds so silly, but when you repeat that to yourself every day, and then when you visualize it, it becomes true because you are what you focus on, right? If you're going to focus on like what the Kardashians are doing that day or like celebrity gossip, like that's what you're going to think about. But if you think about your identity and you wake up doing your affirmations, like that's what you're consuming.
Totally. Now, a lot of people, like even younger people nowadays, I feel like they kind of lost that drive in a way that I've noticed, at least being around them, whether it is at, the bar or in a social setting or something like that, or just even talking to them in general. A lot of young people struggle with consistency, even though they know inside them that they're ambitious. Why do you feel that? That's been going on.
Young people struggling with consistency.
And yeah.
Yeah, I would say, and I went through this too. I think there's two things that come to mind. The first is identity, for sure. You can be ambitious and you can want to pursue something, but if you don't tie it to your identity and who you are, you'll never truly become the person who does that, right? So I think identity is so not talked about at all. I mean, when's the last time you were at lunch with someone who's talking about identity? Like,
practically never,
Yeah,
unless I'm interviewing someone.
yeah. And that's the core of who we are,
Right.
right? So I think if young people really focused on their identity, and instead of like scrolling and looking at Instagram and looking at what everyone else is doing, if they focused on who they want to become, that would really help them achieve their goals more and become that person. And the other thing, actually, I brought it up during that, is distractions. We are the most distracted and isolated we have ever been as a society.
Interesting.
Technology is great, right? We have so many things from it. Like, I'm not going to say anything bad about my phone because it's also been my biggest blessing. But your phone is basically like having a small child walk around with you, say like, hey, look what I can do. Hey, look, it's constantly giving you
Yeah, just bugging
notifications
you. Yeah.
about trying to take your attention, trying to steal it, right?
Yeah.
How many times are you like working and you look at your phone and you're like texting, you answer something, what was I doing?
So many times. So much.
All the time, like we're all doing that.
Yeah.
So I think distractions are one of the biggest things, especially with young people, right? Because unfortunately they're just, I think how old are you?
I'm 24.
24. Okay.
Yeah.
So I still had a time, like I got a phone when I was in like 8th grade, but they weren't that cool. Like I think BlackBerry is what I had in college.
Oh, yeah.
And so I kind of went through childhood and adolescence, like wasn't really attached to my phone. Like we didn't quite have, no one really was on Facebook that much in college. So I think growing up with that, like it's a little bit easier to not get completely attached because I've been without it. But especially with young people, you grow up as like a small child having phones and iPads and like constantly.
Yeah.
So that's what you do. I mean, that's your learned habit, right? And your parents are on it. Like my parents were never on their phones, so you're watching it, and you become your parents. We're all becoming our parents. So I would say distractions. Attention is the currency, and everyone's trying to take your attention.
Yep.
Everybody. So if you can learn to focus and stay away from distractions, you can actually start achieving your goals and all that ambition that you have and stay consistent without getting distracted.
Totally. Yeah, I like how you bring up that attention is the new currency because I feel like it's starting to shift that way. Even though it's like what you know is who you know. A lot of businesses are marketing just to get eyeballs now. Eyeballs are the new currency. Kind of like what Rich says, why to always post on Instagram or TikTok or even other people out there that are doing the same thing, like big names like Grant Cardone and people like that. They're trying to make sure they're grasping your attention and then boom, following their stuff and programs and whatnot. I don't know where I was going to go with that, but
Attention is the new currency, and
right, yeah, I still didn't know where I was going to go with that.
well, it's true. I mean, there's people whose job there's actual psychologists and people that studied the mind who work at ad agencies, and all their job is to try to figure out how to steal your attention, right? I mean, this is what I'm trying to do as a content creator. I'm like, what hooks can I get to get people to look at this?
Yeah.
It's like everyone's
Totally.
doing it. So just have more intention. Have more intention when you look at the phone. Don't have it out at lunch, business, dinners. Like you need to take breaks, meditation, have a phone bedtime. Like I think doom scrolling is quite a serious thing that we all kind of laugh about, but it's
a real problem.
It actually rots your brain.
Yeah, it really does.
It actually does. There's so many negative effects between comparison, avoidance. I mean, really, when you're scrolling, you're just avoiding all of your potential. So yeah,
Yeah. What do you feel like is one shift someone that's a Gen Z or millennial can make today to feel more aligned with who they want to become?
What's one shift a millennial
Someone
or Gen Z
that they can make today.
to make today? Oh, well,
so they can become who they want to be.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna make it pretty easy because I want to say morning person because I know especially for some.
Just speak from the heart.
Yeah, for some, just like graduates of college or it's harder to transition to that.
Totally.
So become a morning person. But I'm gonna start with one actionable item that anyone can do, and that's visualization.
Okay.
visualization is my non-negotiable, because if you watch yourself accomplishing your goals, or accomplishing your tasks for the day, achieving your dreams in a year down the line, every day, then you just start doing those things, and your brain doesn't actually know what's real and what's not. So when you're watching these things, your brain can't comprehend that it's not happening, right? So there's so many. When I first got into visualization, I remember I totally changed my game plan. I'm like, wait, this is basic, my goals are too small. Like, I need to have much bigger goals, and I changed my whole plan. And the next day, I was thinking about something, like maybe getting a dog, and I'm like, well, I can't have a dog if I'm going to be speaking on. I was like, oh my God, my visualizations are already like subconsciously changing the way that I'm thinking about my plans. So if you can just visualize, and I'll just break down quickly how I do mine, and you can do it however you want.
Yeah.
For me, I like to do about a minute of just going through everything I do in the day.
Okay.
I'm going to, because this is early in the morning, right? Okay, well, and then I'm going to do my attention focus, and then I'll just kind of go through all the big items. Then I'm going to do this for an hour, I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do my walk, go to Pilates. And that really is really cool, because I start to think of all the things that I need to do to prepare. I have that meeting, a meeting's going to go great, but I need to do this. So, it's like even preparing a to-do, like if you look at your to-do list, you won't think of these things unless you actually picture it.
Right.
Then I'll go through the week, and then I'll go for about a minute, like just on, future goals, picturing my future self and like my future dreams. When you do that every morning, it's like you're creating your future instead of reacting to it. Because I think for me personally, a lot of my life, I just kind of let things happen to me. Like, I didn't actively take control of exactly what I wanted to happen. And I don't know if a lot of, young people resonate with that. But I feel like you're kind of go through stages, especially like through college, where like people are telling you what to do, and then you get out of college and it's like you have to make a decision, like, okay, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
And so you really want to start, since you don't have a path, right? You don't have like, okay, well, next is college, next is this,
Yeah.
you get a job. You need to start creating your future. So I would say 5 minutes of visualization every morning.
I like that. Is there ever a goal that's too big? And if not, how do you get there?
I don't think there is a goal that's too big.
Okay.
I think you should be connected to the goal actually being able to happen. Okay. So if you say, I want to be, I don't know, I'm 30 years old and I want to be an astronaut. Like, if you really want to be an astronaut and like go back to school and go, you can for sure do that.
Mm-hmm.
But like, don't create a big dream so you have a big dream. Like, connect with it and actually know that you can do it, because you have so much potential and so many possibilities. Like, you really can accomplish so much more than you think. So I don't think big goals. No. To answer your question, no.
Okay.
Like if Elon Musk was like, well, I'm going to be shooting rockets to the moon and do all this stuff, like, people would have been like, hey, you're an idiot. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the goal, then it's never going to happen. I think you should be unrealistic.
Okay.
However, I think you should truly believe that it's going to happen. And you can, you really can. But you have to make sure that you're constantly connected to that.
Okay.
Because otherwise, you won't achieve it. If you believe it, you'll achieve it.
Mm-hmm.
That's very important. I think I'm going to get that tattooed just because it's such a staple for me. If you believe it, you can achieve it. And if you don't actually believe you're going to achieve your goals, even when you're like, for small things like setting sales goals or doing this, you actually have to believe it.
Yeah.
So
I like
no,
that.
I would say no. And then how do you get there? You said, how do you get to the big goals? Yeah, believe it.
Totally.
Believe it, and then start visualizing it and start taking action. Like, I'm not saying start visualizing your life because then it'll happen. Mm. You have to take action, of course. You can't manifest. Like, you can't just picture and start manifesting all this stuff that's just going to come to you because the universe brings it to you. Yes, you'll start creating opportunity from taking action, but that's the number one thing I'd say to achieve the big goals is start taking action and don't care what anybody thinks. If someone tells you you can't achieve your goal, F them. I don't like to curse for people. Like, get them out. Don't take that to heart. Like, only you know what's right for you, right?
Don't take it personally. Yeah.
Don't keep people around you. Be in an environment where people are pushing you to do that, right?
Totally.
I just want to mention a friend, Cameron. He, I think he's only like 26, but he went to every country.
Wow.
Every single country.
Yeah.
And so I was just talking to him last week, and it's like, when he said he was going to do that, probably everyone was like, yeah, I'm sure he didn't get any encouragement or like, yes, you should go do that. Go to every country. That
You're
seems like
like,
a good
there's
goal.
no way. Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah, totally.
So I think that's a very big, unrealistic dream when you haven't been to that many. And he did it.
Wow. Hey, good for him.
Yeah.
It's nice.
So
Well, as we're kind of winding down the episode here, I always love to end the episode with this one question. People that are maybe they're just graduating college, maybe they're 18 or they're struggling out of college to find something or trying to pursue their passion. What's one piece of advice you could give someone 18 to 25? One piece of advice of how they can start today to pursue that goal.
what's one piece of advice for how they could start pursuing their goal?
Whether it's starting that business or getting into real estate, or it doesn't matter. Just pursuing their goal or taking that first step of uncomfort past fear. What's one piece of advice you could give to that person?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I want to give kind of a more general answer that is going to be harder for people to like start implementing. So I'll think of something that they can implement immediately. But in general, you have to get in the habit of taking action. I never had that habit. Now I do everything. Like if I come up with an idea or something comes to me, I take action on it right away. Like if I have a rule too, like I'm not gonna put things on a to-do list if it takes longer for me to put it on the to-do list than to just do it, right? So you have to get in the habit of like do it, do it, do it, because we start overthinking things, and like a lot of the things that we overthink, like if this is my goal, this is my dream. When you start getting in the habit of doing things, you realize how simple it is. Like you're like, oh, I could actually do this
Yeah.
quite quickly.
Yeah.
I think that comes from getting in the habit of taking action and also pushing yourself to do uncomfortable things. So whether it's public speaking, I'm gonna start going to Toastmasters, posting
Nice.
with, if you don't post, you don't like social media, it's scary, things like that. Start doing things that make you uncomfortable because it makes other things easier. So I would say start taking action and building the reps for that. And then start pushing yourself to do uncomfortable things, because once you build the muscle of being able to do uncomfortable things, like everything seems easy.
Yeah.
So then your dream that you have, once you accomplish it, you're like, yeah, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Now I want to do this.
Totally.
So
Awesome. I appreciate you coming on the episode, Sarah. It's been a great street fire conversation. I love it. So thank you for coming on.
yeah, thank
Yeah.
you for having me. It's
Yeah.
such a blessing, and we do live in the best city in the world.
Exactly.
Yeah, appreciate
And
it.
to you guys out there watching, appreciate you guys hopping on this episode with Sarah and watching. Hopefully you guys took away something. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, any comments, put it down below. Subscribe to the channel because that's what keeps people coming back and interviewing more people. But till next time, thanks for watching Straight to the Point. We'll catch you in the next one.